Kia ora. Aue Te Ariki Aue is a himini often sung by my papa. And I just wanted to give you an update because what's been happening to our beautiful taonga by our own, by my own whānau, is absolutely disgusting. And I want to share this. I want to name and shame these people because they're letting go of nearly 200 years of history and heritage. They're destroying our wharepuni, which is a small marae, and around that wharepuni is our whare tupuna, which is the whare that our tupuna built. So I've been on the phone to many a whānau member, and it was quick. What they did today was quick. They had the police, they had the courts, they had security guards, and they had themselves, the trustees. And I'm going to name these trustees. The chairman is Brian Rupatini. He's a cousin of mine. Caroline Scott ni Tito. Roina Graham. Moitu Tonga ni Tito. Hokipera Rukere Papuni. Jacqueline Feehan. Kiki Ruakiri, Patricia Bolger. Now I'm going to share something with you, whānau, and if you just bear with me, I am really upset. And the only thing we have on our side, one, it was done with such speed and such a lot of money spent. Trustee, our money, it's our farm money. So they spend a lot of money. They got a QC, Queen's Council, for those that don't know. The Queen's Council are the most senior lawyers in New Zealand. And they had a QC, and they paid for security. They got all of your stuff. My auntie can't even get her stuff back. I mean, just the due processes. I mean, this isn't the end of it. They may destroy our taonga and our connection to our tupuna, and it absolutely breaks my heart. When I heard that they started destroying it, I just cried and cried and cried like a pepe, like in mourning, like in grief. Our tupuna built that with their own bare hands. I showed you a picture of the wharepuni that they are destroying, and I just can't believe it. We've spent nearly 200 years picking up the pieces and the trauma from the Crown, destroying our taonga, destroying our lives, and to have your own flesh and blood do that to you just breaks my heart. So anyway, I'm going to give you a bit of a history about our whare as well. But I am going to share the eviction notice, and I'm going to talk about this eviction notice that I'm pretty upset about, and there's a reason why I'm upset about it. And it's because of the name that they have on the eviction notice. And as you already know, whānau, I have been in Taranaki for 2 weeks, and I've only just come home, and this has happened, and I felt a bit trapped, I think, tonight, because it was all happening whilst I was here in the Waikato, and I'd been in Taranaki for a couple of weeks. So anyway, I'm not sure if it's going to come up. Let's see if it'll come up. Might be having problems with my StreamYard, but hopefully not. No, that's not what I want to share with you. Sorry, that was a private message. So, yeah, please don't look at that. Just trying to share. There it is. Okay, what you see there, whānau, is the notice you have been evicted. And across there are all the trustees of Te Hanataua Trust. So I'll name them again: Brian Rupatini, Caroline Scott ni tito, Roina Graham, Moitu Tunga ni tito, Hukipera Ruakere Papanui, Jacqueline Feehan, Kiki Rukiri, Patricia Bolger, and the last name they had on there is my father's name, James Pokere. Now, I've been speaking to Dad all night, and he's been in hospital. He's been fighting for his life. There was one person that came to visit him. It was Brian Rupatini, his nephew, and he did not even tell him that they won as a trustee that they were going to demolish his homestead. He's the eldest living direct descendant, male direct descendant. And so in Māoridom, he holds a bit of mana, but obviously in this trust, he holds no mana. And so they had the fucking audacity, sorry for swearing, but fucking audacity to put my father's name on the notice of eviction when, one, he wrote a letter to the trust to tell them he did not support them wanting to demolish the homestead and wanting to demolish the wharepuni, that he's been fighting for its survival for a number of years and trying to bring the whānau that are living in the homestead and the trust together. Now, Auntie's been there for her whole life, right? Her whole life. The trust has only been around for 20 years. Brian Rupatini has no understanding of te ao Māori, the wairua connection to our tupuna, the wairua connection to our urupa. And he uses the courts, he uses the police, and he uses themselves to traumatize the whānau and to assault Kaumatua today. This is our dawn raid in Taranaki, and I hope the leaders of Taranaki are watching it. It's a fucking disgusting day, and I am so fucking angry. I am angry because they have the fucking cheek to put my father's name on the eviction notice when he wrote a letter and said he does not agree with any eviction, he does not agree with any demolition, and to take his name out of anything to do with that homestead. I'm so fucking angry. I have been mourning like I have mourned a tupuna that's just passed. Because I have. That's how it feels like. That's what it feels like. I'm going to share something and I'm going to warn you. This is watching Kaumatua get assaulted today. And I'm naming and shaming you, Moitu. You bully. How dare you bully our bloody Kaumatua. But anyway, whānau, I'm going to share this. I'm going to mute myself before I forget to mute and share this wide. These people need to be named and shamed. They are kupapa to our tupuna. That's what they are. Sorry for being upset, but you have no idea how angry I am. Anyway, I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to share this. You need to see this.
Denny, can you do that? On camera, and this is going live, and it's going to all the
You should be ashamed of yourself. No, you're right, bud. You're right, bud. Yeah. We're proud of you, fathers too.
I believe that night, and I hope you
Well, she said more than enough time to do that. Fix it up.
when you even come down here.
Well, that's what's happening though.
It's hard to do, but it's fun. Not up there. You've never been there.
We need to have you.
None of you have.
God, come in, Elaine. Come in. Come in. You've got a friggin' nerve to throw all your gear out.
Yeah, that's all my gear.
Come on in.
Everything. From her underwear to everything. That's disgusting, man. Disgusting, Caroline.
Elaine, you have plenty of time.
Oh, no, Elaine. No. Spoon it all.
To move it all.
Oh, and by whose authority? Yours, the courts.
Man.
Courts, no. You give me the paperwork. Where's the paperwork? Show me. Give me paperwork, please. Show me. Give me the paperwork.
You're not going to change anything blocking the door.
Corey's in here. Fucking get him.
We're older than those ones in there.
Now that is disgusting. That is disgusting. They had a rahui board up that says that the place was under rahui by Kaumatua of Ngaa Ruahinerangi, and the rahui board was smashed and thrown to the ground. That's how disgusting these people are. That woman you saw there, her name is Moitu Tunga. My great-grandfather and her grandfather are brothers. And this is what this has come to when you start assaulting kaumatua, when you have security guards who wouldn't let them through, into their wharipuni to protect their wharipuni. And the police come in and trespass my auntie. Okay, I'm going to now read you and no one has any idea how upset I am. But this isn't over. This isn't over. This is one battle that they may win, but they haven't won the war. And when you assault kaumatua, and you takahi on the mana of a rāhui that these kaumatua put on, then you're dealing in a whole different realm. You may have the Pākehā LAW, the law behind you, and we don't even know if they had that. They just had an eviction notice. Where's the demolition notice? It is so disgusting. So South Taranaki whānau at odds over future of the whare. So I'm going to share something else, and it's an article that was written a few weeks ago. And I'll just share that article with you. So this is our beautiful, beautiful whare, and it breaks my heart when I see it like that. I don't know how they can sleep at nights. That's our beautiful whare. The future of a 170-year-old Raupo whare that has been sheltered inside a larger villa for 104 years has divided a South Taranaki whānau. The future of the wharipuni, or sleeping house, which has its ceilings and walls lined with reeds, is in the centre of a 5-bedroom, 2-story villa at Pihama that is set to be demolished by the family trust that administers the land that it sits upon. And that's the outside. So the house itself is just over 100 years, 103 years, but this wharipuni is 170 years old, nearly 200 years old. Yeah. It just makes me hard to speak whānau. Nowadays, the room is used for whānau gatherings, including weddings and tangi, and for meetings by the iwi kaumatua. At present, there's no natural light in the whare because the windows have been boarded up with polywood instead of being replaced. The house around it is desperate need of new roof and other repairs, but has good bones, he said. The Hanataua Trust decided to demolish the last 5-bedroom, 2-story villa after a property report in 2015 classed the building as a health and safety risk. The dispute between the two groups from the same whānau has been underway for several years. Another reason why this place is of significance is because so here's another article. Community remembers Lizzie Bell tragedy at the service led by merchant navies. A dozen sailors who drowned when their ship sank off South Taranaki coast 118 years ago have been honoured by the merchant navy. The Iron Bark Lizzie Bell was sailing from Wellington to New South Wales to pick up coal in July 24th, 1901. Now, the reason why this whare is such an important whare is because it was used as a morgue for the Lizzie Bell, and a lot of taonga that come off the Lizzie Bell was housed that come off the Lizzie Bell. I don't know if they'll have an old picture here of the Lizzie Bell. They usually do, not this time. It was actually a beautiful ship. So a lot of the tonga that come off the Lizzie Bell was housed in our whare. Now, what they did today, whānau, is that they took all those tonga out, and we don't know where they are. Here's another thing that I want to so that the notice for eviction has my father's name on it, and I am incensed by that. My father had no idea that they were doing what they do. My father's been fighting for his life, right? And only one trustee, which was the chairman, come to see him and didn't tell him anything. And I informed him tonight what was happening because he had it right. I don't know how these people can sleep at nights, to be honest. Who could destroy such a beautiful whare as this whare tupuna, as this one here? Who could destroy that? Who in their right minds could destroy that? So far, no, that's what I've been dealing with today, and broke the really sad news because Dad's been fighting for his whare tupuna for several years. I'm just brokenhearted. Like I say, it's the war's not finished. This isn't over by no means. And I'm just disgusted. And as our tupuna have always said, you know, you deal in that realm, that kino realm, then there's a whole wairua connection that you've got to deal with as well. And yeah, breaks my heart. I just feel like I've lost my tupuna today. There are whānau travelling tomorrow. Apparently WorkSafe is supposed to be there tomorrow. So, you know, I'm aware that whānau want to go and occupy the land, whether or not they demolish all of it or not tomorrow. So I just had to give you an update, but I'm incensed. I'm incensed that they have put my father's name on the eviction notice when he knew nothing about what they were doing. That's fraud, because he wrote to them and he told them he wanted to have nothing to do with the demolition of his wharepuni, the one that he has been trying to protect for several years. I did up a papakainga plan to save all of that. That was totally ignored by Brian Rupatini and half of those trustees that are on there now. But they all have, you know, I don't know if any of you believe about it, that a wharepuni is alive, that your whare tonga is alive, but I believe it's alive, and it feels like there's blood on their hands because it was our tupuna's blood, sweat and tears that built both of those whare. 170-year-old whare tupuna and a 103-year-old whare. So I'm going to share some of your comments, whānau, because like I say, I'm going to name them again. Brian Rupatini, Caroline Scott, Roina Graham, Moitu Tonga, Hoki Pera Ruakere Papuni, Jacqueline Feehan, Kiki Ruakere, Patricia Bolger. You all have this on your conscience, and I hope you can sleep well tonight. I hope that our tupuna do not come and visit you, or your mokopuna, because that's how deep the hurt and the trauma has gone. Traumatized by our own, colonized by our own. So I'm just going to go back to the messages so I can read them. Sorry, whānau. Keep on taking my eyes off. I'm pretty upset, as you can see. Kia ora, Tiga. Kia ora, Sharon. She says, evening fire, Donna. And, oh, hang on. I just got to change my glasses. Put my reading glasses on. Sorry, whānau. It's better. Evening, Fire Donna, and everyone. I hope you and your whānau are all well. I hope you got your business sorted concerning your auntie. Well, my auntie doesn't have access to any of her stuff. As you heard, her taros were thrown on the ground outside. You saw everything thrown outside. You saw security guards blocking Kaumatua from getting in. Tigger says, unfortunately, a lot of crap like this is going on too much and from our own. Absolutely. Thank you for that, Tigger. So sorry, Fire. Patiti here, what does she say? Kia ora, Donna. Kia ora, hun. Audra says, oh dear, I know all these names. Ka aroha Fire. Yeah, and they had a cheek to put my father's name on the eviction notice because he's a trustee. He wrote a letter to have nothing to do with any of the demolition of that homestead. So they owe my father an apology for putting his name up there. And they had to prove that my auntie didn't have a lodial title on there. So they haven't proven anything. All they did was get a bailiff in and then brought in the demolition people. That's all they've done. My auntie, you know, she did not get any notice. Yes, they've been fighting this for several years, but she didn't get there was no due process. They got a court order, they got a bailiff there, they got the police on their side, so they got the law on their side. Why? Because they use trust money. They use our money. It's not their money. They didn't actually, I was on the trust when all that money was earned. So they can't even lay claim to earning the money that's in the account. I can, because I was part of the trust earning that money when we built up the putia to fix up our homestead. That's what that putia was built for. So we could maintain our taonga tuku iho. Taonga tuku iho. Asset passed down to continue on for the generations to come. They have neglected their own governance. They've breached their own trust rules by not maintaining their own asset. And then they turn around and says, oh, it's going to cost too much to fix. Well, you never invested any time and effort, and I had a plan ready and it was ignored. So I know I can sleep well. I just don't know if you can sleep well forever from this point on, because you've shamed yourselves and you've shamed your uri. From this point onwards, you've shamed yourselves by doing what you've done. And then trying to blame the auntie for doing what you did, when all she's done is kaitiaki all those tongas. Where's all the old photos of our tupuna that were in there? Where's all the old tonga from our whānau that are in there? What have you done with all of those? Who gave you the right? You're going to give them to a Pākehā museum, to Mark Stevenson's museum, whose father, Ian Stevenson, was a historian, and it was the historian for the Lizzie Bell. So you've taken our taonga tuku iho and you've given all the taonga away and left the whānau with nothing. And I know this is going on all around the country, and I want to highlight these injustices, because we've had to deal with it with the Crown. I don't know what's worse, when the Crown steals from you or when your own whānau steal from you. I feel it's when your own whānau steal from you, when your own whānau take from you, when your own whānau then think they can turn around and assault your kaumatua. It's disgusting. And ignore a rāhui and then break the board that it was on, that the rāhui was on. E ki rā. Yeah, I hope you sleep well tonight, because actually you shouldn't be sleeping well tonight. E kira. Sorry, whānau, letting my emotions out tonight, but it's huge. This is huge for me. I'm just going to go through. Yeah, thank you, Sharon. You have every right to be upset. Yeah, I am pretty upset. And I just, I've left my dad, who's been fighting for his life for 2 weeks. Where have any of those names that I called out? Half of them are his first cousins. What does Charlene say? This blatant act against this queer is an attack against Te Tiriti, our queer and Kaumatua Tonga. Absolutely, just like the whare is a Tonga as well. Yeah, thank you. Just quickly going through your messages. Thank you, whānau. Why is this an eviction? It's just my StreamYard's very, very slow. Why is the eviction? Good question, eh? Because they wanted to show their muscle. They wanted to show what bullies they are. They didn't want to look after that homestead or invest money in that homestead and that whare puni. Oh no, they want to spend that money elsewhere, not on the Tonga. And the Kaumatua from Ngaa Ruahinerangi wanted to put those Tonga into a trust and take it over and then look for funding ourselves to do it up. If you're going to demolish it, you got nothing to lose, give it to us. And they wouldn't. They wouldn't. See, with the treaty claims and with trust settlements, with land settlements and with the leasing of our whenua, it gives trustees a heck of a lot of power. Another thing that these trustees did is they took the mana away from the people. So any AGM or any special meeting, they put in their deed that they do not have to listen to the owners. So they literally become a power unto themselves. So, I want this trust shut down. It's not over. They think it's over. It's only just begun. If you're watching, and I know you're watching, I'm telling you now, you think it's over, it's only just begun. I am your worst nightmare. You really don't want to take me on. I'm like a dog with a bone on this issue. You had the opportunity, Te Hanataua Trust, you had the opportunity to do the right thing and you never did. You never did. Your tupuna and my tupuna will be rolling in their graves. I'm telling you that now. Because I don't think even your tupuna would have wanted this to happen. But you let it happen. You made it happen. You did it. You did it. E ki ra pu. Ooh. Anyway, comments. I better get into comments before I say some things I might regret. The paperwork is likely null and void if they have names on it that are not rightfully on paper. Oh no, the trustees. So that they were elected on, so they're legal trustees. It's my father's name I want removed from there, and it's my father I want them to apologise for putting his name there because he wrote them a letter stating he didn't want he did not support the demolition of the homestead and the whare puni. Let me remind you of what that whare puni looks like. That's the whare puni that they're going to destroy. That's 170 years old. So, Roger, you're saying what is going on? That's what's going on. Yeah, LAW versus LORE. That's right. Bloody kupapa to their own ancestor, actually. So Merlin's saying the trustees of the, so it's not trustees of a tribe, the trustees of a Ahu Whenua Trust, just so we get that correct. So it's not a it's not a iwi. They are trustees of our farm. It's a Ahu Whenua Trust, and they have ordered the eviction and ordered the demolition of two properties. One's 103 years old and the other one's 170 years old. The 170 years old, in the engineer's report, said that can go on for another 100 years. Why on earth did they not preserve the wharepuni? At the very least, preserve the wharepuni. Brian Rupatini, Caroline Scott, Roina Graham, Moitu Tonga, Hoki Pera, Ruakere, Papuni, Jacqueline Feehan, Kiki Ruakere, Patricia Bolger. Why didn't you save the wharepuni? This is your wharepuni too. Some of them are direct descendants of the tupuna that built that wharepuni. Kiki Ruakere, Patricia Bolger, Roina Graham. Direct descendants. How do you live with yourself? You didn't even look for another option, and I gave several options in that Papakainga plan and several opportunities for funding where it didn't even come out of our own pockets. All it needed was the will, and you didn't have the will. You didn't have the guts. You didn't have the tikanga. You didn't have the wairua. You didn't have the connection. Now, all of us have lost that because of your decision making. Something you have to live with and not I. Yeah, so far, no. So I'm pretty upset. Thank you all for tuning in, and thank you all for listening to me. This is my page. They wanted me to take my first live down. Well, you know where they can go, eh? There's no way I'm taking, and I'm going to keep on putting this live up, keep on reminding them what they've done to us, the trauma, the intergenerational trauma that they have created, and an enemy in me that they have created, because I'm not going to let this lie. I will not let this lie. It's not the end. Oh, kia ora, I've got a cousin that's just come on. Yeah, no, Ross, they didn't even try. They didn't even try to, and in actual fact, because it's such an old building, I think they're breaking the law. I don't even think that they're allowed to demolish a building that's 170 years old. But too late once it's demolished, though, eh? You can't say, oh, sorry, we didn't know the law. Well, hang on a minute, that's going to go down on your head because you didn't, again, do your due diligence. Again. And did you consult with all the whānau? No, you only asked the whānau that attend the meeting. We only know 5% attend meetings. For something as important as this, did you consult with the other owners? No, you didn't. How do I know? Because most of them live in Australia. Well, a few of them live in Australia anyway. The thing about the Historic Places Trust is that we did ring up the Historic Places Trust because there was a debate over ownership. They couldn't interfere in it, but you would have thought that the property would have been first priority and sort out the ownership later, wouldn't you think? Dennis? who I think at the time was the person we contacted from the Historic Places Trust. So we tried to contact the Historic Places Trust to get it protected under their legislation, and they said, oh, well, no, because there's a dispute over the ownership. Well, you'd think they'd try and sort that problem out. It's 170 years old. I'm going to show you again so we don't forget. 170 years old, this building. The only one in Taranaki of its kind, and the only one in New Zealand of its kind. Plus, it's used for the Lizzie Bell when the Lizzie Bell sank. Major historical connections. Plus, Whanganui tribe used to travel up to that wharepuni, stay in that wharepuni before they travelled on to Pariaka. But they didn't care about any of that. The Kaumatua did, and the Kaumatua did everything they could to save and protect that wharepuni. And they'll be upset. They'll be really, really upset. So I'm having problems putting up my comments, so I'm just going to read through. Let's do a protest fire. It shouldn't be allowed to be demolished. It's historical, absolutely. Oh, yeah, it's just come up, Katrina. I'm having problems with my StreamYard. Beautiful whare, all right, fire. They haven't lived the life your papa has, fire. That is why it's easier to strike the pen. Val goes, or hugs Donna, can feel the pain and hurt. I posted your video and asked whānau down in Taranaki to support. So sent the, oh, thank you. We do have whānau that are going to arrive. And, you know, Kaumatua did, like I say, Kaumatua did their best today. To try and protect, and I just want to acknowledge all our Ngaa Ruahinerangi Kaumatua. And you saw on the video how they got manhandled and pushed around. That's assault. And, you know, I hope they do have them up for assault. So these security guards are blocking the way. It's not their whare. It's not the security guards' whare. Oh my gosh. You know, what we're seeing in this country is a destruction of due process, a destruction of Brian Rupatini as a pastor. I thought I'd just share that with you. So I hope in his prayers that he's praying for his own soul. Yes. So Audra, we did make contact with the Historic Places Trust, but because there's this dispute around ownership, so Auntie Elaine's been in there for 60 years. The trust has only been around for 20 years. She has what you call a allodial title over all of that because she's been there all her life. She's been kaitiaki of the whare for over 20 years after her parents passed away. And I think maybe prior to that, it might have been other siblings of hers that were kaitiaki prior to her. But the Historic Places Trust, which is now the Heritage New Zealand, wouldn't touch it. And you would have thought that they would have tried to protect the whare first and sort out the ownership later. The ownership wasn't the issue. Protecting the whare was the issue. Aye, allodial title, it's called. It's common law. It's a common law title to the whenua. And they had to prove that my auntie did not have a allodial title. And they couldn't do that because they know that she's been there longer than they have. So what they've done is they moved her out. They manhandled her out, threw all her gears out. Don't know what they've done with all the taonga. And didn't allow the kaumata to go in and do a noho. A noho is an occupation. tikanga has been broken. They smashed the board that had the rahui written on it. They had that turned upside down. Absolutely no respect for the rahui. A tapu was put over it. So they're gonna that whenua still got a rahui on it. That whenua still got a tapu on it. They may destroy the whare, but the whenua still has a tapu, has a tapu and a rahui over it. Anyway, whānau, that's the latest update. I am fucking angry over this. It is shocking, it is appalling, it is disgusting, especially to see our kaumatua assaulted and manhandled like that, to see them bring in the LAW, the courts, the bailiffs, and put my father's name on the eviction notice, get his name off. He did not agree to it, and he wanted his name to not be anywhere near a demolition or an eviction. And that's right, Tigger. I wouldn't like to be in their shoes because they are playing with the wrong spiritual realm. They've literally cursed themselves and their uri to come. That's the realm that they've gone into by demolishing, especially this beautiful wharepuni, which I'll show again. 170 years old it is. A 170 years old. Made of raupo and reeds. So I might just play this himini waiata ko koe te araki. It's my father's favourite himini, and I think I want to play it to tow me down again, because I certainly don't want to go to bed, and I'm going to do a karakia to my tupuna, and they better been doing a karakia to theirs as well, because it's shocking, 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 disgusting behaviour. And I have named them because they deserve to be named and shamed for what they've done. So if there's any media watching, you might want to go to the Odie Homestead next to the Odie River, up by the Odie Bridge, because you might want to see what they're doing tomorrow, because apparently tomorrow is D-Day, the death sentence for this wharepuni, which I'm just going to show you one more time, whānau, and then go into sharing the ko koe te araki. So I'm going to share that, and I'm going to say pomari tonight. That's right, Tina. No respect for their own tipuna who run up through the soles of their feet in the whenua. Absolutely, whaia Tina. Tiana, how disgusting. Well, Tiana, you would have seen your koro there. Your koro fought hard for that whare tupuna. So, Tiana, you want to be proud of your koro. Okay, so I'm going to share this himini because I need to tow, and I need to tow the kōrero down. But yeah, this is an emotional time for me. And especially when I've been down in New Plymouth for the last couple of weeks, and I've only just come back to the Waikato. Pretty sad. Oh, kia ora, Tiana. I'm always proud of you and Koko Auntie. Oh, thank you, Han. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to share this himini again, whānau. Oh, that's right, Val. Sorry, Val. I was looking at sharing the himini. Val says if they put your dad's name on the eviction notice, how many other names had their names asked who might be like your dad? Well, the other thing is too is they put their names somehow appear in certain trusts. Now, the only ones that should appear on our whenua are the direct descendants of Pohi Tito, which is my great grandfather. And it's not, it's Pohi's brother, and I think there might be other, but they're only few and far between. And the ones doing a lot of the harm, Caroline Scott belongs to Pohi's brother, and Moite Tunga belongs to Pohi's brother. Hokipera Ruakere, I'm assuming, is a direct descendant of my great grandfather. Kiki is a direct descendant of my great grandfather. Patricia, that's her koro. Roina, that's her koro. So they're dad's first cousins. Brian is a nephew. His father is dad's first cousin. These are very, very close relations. And I do have to, you have to ask how certain whānau from other lines get onto your whānau trust. And when they're on there, they can do this sort of harm and do this sort of damage. So, yeah, that needs to be investigated as well. So, trust me, whānau, this is not the end of it. Certainly not the end of it. Battle on as far as I'm concerned. They're not only taking me on, they've taken them on, our tupuna on as well. Because I'm sure Pohi and his brother would not be happy with what's happening today. Would not be happy with how these kaumatua were treated today. Would not be happy how my auntie was chucked out on the street today. Will not be happy that the homestead is being demolished today. Will not be happy that the wharepuni is being demolished tomorrow. Yeah, certainly, the powers to be. There's been no due process for Auntie. No due process for her. We've just been having, she's been having kōrero with Kaumatua. Kaumatua have had kōrero with the trust. But in regards to court process, boom. That's what they did. Totally ignored the rāhui. And Māori tikanga and kawa. And trampled on it today. Tuck a head on it. Trust me, it's not over. Anyway, whānau. The documentation they've got is a court order. That's the documentation that they've got, Katrina, just letting you know. So they've got the right paperwork. They just got the wrong tikanga. And when it comes to Māori tikanga and kawa, it doesn't mean jack shit in the eyes of the court, right? When you've got a corporate shrill like Brian Rupatini, who was the director for Methanix, who is a capitalist and happens to be a pastor, so I hope he prays for himself and his soul and his whānau's soul. When you have a corporate shrill running a Māori trust that has not an ounce of tikanga in his bone, an ounce of kawa or wairua in his bone, and nor the rest of them, this is what happens. This is what happens. Yes, good luck to their karma. I'm so freaking angry. Yep, that's right. Biggest shame lays on the heads of those who did this. Even more devastating to hear it's whānau who are doing this. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to try and play this. I need to hear this himini again to tone myself. And I'll try and share it with you, whānau. Or you might just have to listen to it. Love you all, whānau. Take care. Catch up with you soon.
Iro to i te